Intro. Have you ever wondered if what you're feeling is truly love, or if it's just attachment wearing a clever disguise? At first glance, they look the same. The butterflies, the longing, the intensity, it all feels intoxicating. But if you've ever been in a relationship where the thought of losing someone sent you spiraling into fear, jealousy, or desperation, then you know this truth. Attachment can feel like love, but it is not love. The Stoics, ancient philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, warned us about this exact trap. They believed that most of our suffering doesn't come from the world itself but from the way we cling to it. And nowhere is this more obvious than in matters of the heart. Attachment is a chain. It says, I need you to be okay. Without you, I'm nothing. Love, on the other hand, is freedom. It whispers, I value you for who you are, and even if life changes, my respect and gratitude remain. This is not an easy distinction to see. In our culture, we're taught that real love means holding on tightly, that passion equals possession. But the Stoics flipped that narrative. They taught that love is not about chaining another person to your happiness. Love is about strengthening your own virtue so you can meet the world, and the people in it, with clarity, respect, and courage. So in this video, we'll explore what attachment really looks like, how true love feels different, practical ways Stoic wisdom can guide us toward healthier, freer relationships. Before we dive in, I want to invite you to join a growing community of modern thinkers who are reviving ancient wisdom for today's world. If you find value in this kind of reflection, hit that subscribe button and be part of Legacy of Thinkers, where philosophy meets real life. Because once you see the difference between attachment and love, you may never look at your relationships the same way again. Point 1. The nature of attachment. Attachment often feels like love because it carries the same intensity. Our heart races, our mind obsesses, and we convince ourselves that this must be the real thing. But attachment is built on fear, not freedom. It whispers, if I lose you, I lose myself. Think about how many people fall into relationships where constant reassurance becomes the lifeline. When a partner doesn't text back, anxiety spikes. When they spend time with friends, jealousy burns. When they make an independent choice, panic creeps in. This is not love. It's dependency dressed in romantic clothing. The Stoics saw this danger clearly. Epictetus warned that clinging to what does not belong to us is the root of suffering. To the Stoics, no person can ever truly belong to another. When you tie your well-being to someone else's presence or approval, you've built your happiness on unstable ground. It's like trying to anchor a ship to a drifting cloud. You will always feel restless, insecure, and afraid of loss. Attachment creates chains. It convinces us that we are incomplete unless someone fills the gaps inside us. That's why it often comes with control. Don't leave me. Don't change. Don't grow without me. Notice how heavy that feels. Instead of celebrating who the other person is, attachment reduces them to a role, your source of comfort, your escape from loneliness, your emotional oxygen. Here's a simple way to test it. Imagine if that person walked away tomorrow. Would you still wish them well? Or would your entire sense of self collapse? Love can grieve and still respect. Attachment, however, cannot survive the loss. It clings desperately, because it never learned to stand on its own. This is why the Stoics warn, when your peace depends on anything outside your control, you are already enslaved. And attachment is perhaps the most subtle and seductive form of that slavery. Point 2. The nature of love. If attachment is a chain, then love is the opposite. It is the space that allows both people to breathe, to grow, and to remain whole as individuals. True love is not born from fear of losing but from the joy of appreciating. It doesn't say, "You complete me." Instead, it says, "I celebrate you." Love respects freedom. When you love someone, you do not need to control their every move or demand their constant presence. You find joy in their growth, even when it takes them in directions you didn't expect. A partner who truly loves does not shrink when their loved one shines. They rejoice, because love is not a competition. It is a witness to another person's unfolding. The Stoics understood love as an extension of virtue. To them, the highest form of love was not possession but appreciation. Seneca wrote that we should love people as if we were prepared to lose them. Not in a pessimistic way, but in a way that allows us to value them fully while they are here. That mindset transforms love from a desperate grasp into a grateful embrace. Think of the parent who loves their child. A parent cannot freeze their child in time, nor should they want to. True parental love celebrates the child's independence, even when it means letting go. The same is true for romantic love. If you demand that someone stay exactly as they are so you can feel secure, you are loving your comfort, not them. Love is not about ownership but about presence. It is the ability to say, "I choose you today," freely, without chains. And in that freedom, paradoxically, the bond becomes stronger, because it is not held together by fear, but by respect and choice. Point 3. How to recognize the difference. So how do you tell the difference between love and attachment when, on the surface, they can feel so similar? The test lies not in the intensity of the feeling but in the quality of it. Attachment demands. Love allows. Attachment says, "I can't live without you." Love says, "I'm grateful I get to live with you." One way to recognize the difference is to examine the emotions that arise when the relationship feels threatened. If fear, jealousy, or panic dominate, it's a sign of attachment. Love, in contrast, may feel sadness at the thought of loss, but it does not collapse into desperation. Love mourns without enslaving. Attachment suffocates because it cannot imagine life without control. The Stoics encouraged us to ask hard questions of ourselves. Do I want this person for who they truly are, or for the comfort they give me? If they were to walk their own path tomorrow, would I respect their journey, or would I feel betrayed? These reflections cut deep, but they reveal whether what we feel is genuine love or disguised need. Think about Marcus Aurelius's reminder. You have power over your mind, not outside events. If your peace depends entirely on how another person acts, then you've handed them the keys to your inner freedom. That is attachment. But if you can love them while still standing whole on your own, then that is love aligned with virtue. Here's a simple practice. Picture your partner, your friend, or even your child living their life beyond you, pursuing dreams, making choices, even walking away. If your heart breaks yet still wishes them well, that is love. If your heart demands they stay so you can survive, that is attachment. The difference is subtle but life-changing. One leaves you chained to fear. The other allows you to love courageously, without losing yourself. Point 4. Applying Stoic wisdom to relationships. So how do we take all this Stoic insight and actually apply it to the way we love? Philosophy isn't meant to stay in books. It's meant to shape how we live and relate to each other. The Stoics left us practical tools to transform attachment into freedom and to turn fragile relationships into resilient ones. The first practice is negative visualization. Imagine, for just a moment, life without the person you love. It may sound painful, but this exercise doesn't make you love them less, it makes you love them more. By picturing their absence, you sharpen your gratitude for their presence. Instead of clinging out of fear, you begin to cherish them as the gift they truly are. The second practice is focusing on the dichotomy of control. Ask yourself, what is truly mine to control in this relationship? The answer is always the same: your thoughts, your actions, your choices. You cannot control another's emotions, their decisions, or their destiny. When you stop trying to possess what isn't yours, you free both yourself and the person you love. Third, cultivate gratitude without ownership. See relationships not as something you are entitled to, but as something entrusted to you for a time. This mindset shifts the weight. You no longer panic about how long it will last, because you are too busy valuing the moments you already have. Finally, practice loving with presence. Instead of saying, "Stay so I can be happy," you begin to say, "I am here with you now, fully, freely." In this way, you transform love from a desperate grip into a generous offering. And ironically, the less you cling, the deeper and more authentic the connection becomes. The Stoics remind us that real love is never about chaining another person to our happiness. It's about strengthening our character so we can meet love with clarity, courage, and compassion. Outro. So, what have we uncovered together? That attachment and love may look alike on the surface, but deep down, they are worlds apart. Attachment chains us to fear. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of being alone. Love, in contrast, frees us. It asks for nothing but gives everything. It doesn't demand ownership. It thrives on respect, gratitude, and presence. The Stoics never told us to avoid love. They reminded us to love wisely, to see those we cherish not as possessions, but as fellow travelers, souls we walk beside for however long life allows. When you shift from clinging to appreciating, your relationships transform. They become lighter, stronger, and more resilient. Now I want to turn the question back to you. In your own life, where have you mistaken attachment for love? What chains are you ready to break so you can love with more courage and freedom? Drop your reflections in the comments. I read them, and they often inspire new conversations for this community. If this message resonated with you, please give it a like. It really helps more people discover these Stoic insights. Share this video with someone who might be struggling in their relationships. Someone who could use a reminder that love does not have to mean losing yourself. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Legacy of Thinkers. This channel exists to bring ancient wisdom into the modern world, helping us live with clarity, resilience, and meaning. By joining, you're not just subscribing, you're adding your voice to a community of people who believe that philosophy can change how we live, love, and lead. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Carry this Stoic lesson forward. Love without chains, value without possession, and above all, choose to live with wisdom.